Okay. It wasn't so long ago that I was sitting right where you guys are right now, on the verge of high school graduation. I think I started counting the days the first day of my senior year. Despite the fact that I look back on my high school days fondly now, I was so ready to be out of there. I felt like high school was just a stopping point on the way to the rest of my life. I was so certain that college was going to be where I figured everything out. I was going to have the time of my life, and I was going to stop caring what other people thought about me. I pictured myself coming back that first year completely unrecognizable from the person I used to be. And all my old classmates would be in awe of me, but I wouldn't even care. Well, I really pride myself on being honest with you guys, maybe overly so at times. And I have to tell you the truth, I came back from college the same person I was. And the same goes for the year after that, and the year after that, and of course the year after that. In fact, I feel pretty certain that if you asked one of my high school classmates about me, they would say I'm the exact same person they remember. The only difference is now that doesn't bother me. I actually am proud that I haven't changed in the past 9 years. And I think that may be the biggest change I've ever undergone. If I could wish one thing for all of you, it would be that you accept yourselves for who you are. Because I think that you guys are all amazing the way you are. Flip. Okay. I'm going to be honest with you guys again. When I found out that you had selected me as your senior speaker, I was incredibly touched. You guys have meant so much to me over the past 4 years, and I really hope that I meant like a fraction of what you meant to me to you. My second reaction to being selected as your senior speaker was a swirling mix of nerves and anxiety, because I really wanted to give you guys the best senior breakfast speech ever. I think that's what you deserve. At first I just considered standing up here and doing something like a stand-up routine for a while. I thought I could make you guys laugh. I thought that would be pretty indicative of our relationship for the past 4 years. But then when I really thought about it, and I thought about how much you guys sincerely mean to me, I knew that I couldn't go that route. I also knew I would never have another opportunity in which I could speak to you guys for 10 to 15 minutes completely uninterrupted. So, I graduated high school in 2002. That makes me about 9 years older than most of you. I like to round it up and say that I'm a decade older because it makes me feel better. But truthfully, even a decade of knowledge isn't that much. And I couldn't help but wonder, what am I going to tell you guys? I spent, in those 9 years, I spent 5 years doing my undergraduate and master's work, and the rest of my time was spent here with you guys. So when I sat down to write this speech, I decided to ask myself one question over and over again. What do I wish I had known when I was 18? I thought if I centered my speech on that one question, whatever I said would ring true. Once I had focused in on that question, I briefly considered giving you all a list of advice for the majority of my speech. I thought I could just drop a whole bunch of quotes and it would sound really good. But then I decided not to do that because those aren't my words and they wouldn't seem the same. I finally realized that since you guys all know me really well and you still picked me as your senior speaker, that I should just do what I do best, which is, I hope, tell stories and explain what I learned from them. So today I have 3 stories for you guys today. One's about my dad, one's about me, and one is about you and me. So the first story is about my dad. My dad's from Council Bluffs, Iowa. You've probably never heard of it. Nobody has. It's a really, really small town in Iowa. He's the oldest in his family, and he grew up on a farm. His first house was a converted chicken coop, and his parents were really young. And right after my dad came my aunt, and right after my aunt came my uncle, and eventually my dad moved into town in 6th grade, and he met my mom, and they've been together ever since. My dad was the first person in our family to go to college. I can't imagine how hard he had to work to put himself through college. I hope that you guys know that college is a privilege. Because he went to college, and he was in the Army, and he married my mom when he was 18, not something I advise for you guys. And he just managed it. I think it probably goes without saying that my dad really values education. I think he really prides himself on the fact that myself and my brother and my sister all have our college degrees. Growing up, my dad was my first teacher and my coach. I wouldn't be the person I am today without my dad. I think that the lesson my dad taught me the most was to have the right priorities. My dad's priorities are God, family, and his country, which means that he's at church every Sunday, he's by every family's member's side during the darkest hour, and he's going to be a patriot until the day he dies. My dad's devotion to God is probably of special interest because he didn't grow up Catholic like we did. He didn't become Catholic until his mid-20s. He was about my age. That's a time when a lot of people aren't going to church. My dad's faith journey began because of my brother. My sister and I are both adopted, but my brother is my parents' biological son. And they really, really wanted him. It took them a while to have him. And to make matters worse, labor was not a pleasant experience for my mother. I can say without any exaggeration that my mom almost died when giving birth to my brother, and that there was a moment when it looked as if my brother might go with her. I think that at this point in time, many people would be angry or without hope or just scared. But my dad went to the chapel in the hospital and sat down and prayed to someone that he doesn't really know that much about. He made a deal with God that day. He asked God to give him back his wife and to give him his newborn son, and if he did so, he would raise his kids in the church. Well, my mom's here and my brother's still here, so we were all raised in the church. I think that sometimes when something terrible happens, people tell you to turn to God and pray on it, and it just sounds like a cliche, but it's a lot different coming from my dad because he really did go to God and pray on it during the scariest time of his life. Let's see. Okay, so to call my father a family man would be a huge understatement. Family's everything to my dad. If I called him crying at 4 in the morning, he would be at my house at 4:15. The fact that my dad is the heart of our family was never more evident than a few months ago. My dad spent some time in the hospital over Christmas time. I'm not going to go into details because I'm not going to cry. But it was really, really scary. It was the scariest time of my life, by far. I think it's really a testament to my dad to say that my brother, my sister, and I, and my mother, we all came together and supported one another during our family's darkest hour. I think the true mark of a hero, not a hero, but a leader, is how people act when you're not around. If you're a good leader, they still do what you taught them to do, and that's exactly what we did. Okay, when I was younger, my friends used to call my dad Sergeant Lee because he was literally a sergeant in the Army, so I guess it's not that clever of a nickname. But it really describes my dad. I think to my friends when I was younger, he seemed kind of gruff and scary, but he's not. He's not gruff or scary. But Sergeant Lee really just defines how my dad lives his life. My dad believes in this country. He believes in America. He sees himself as someone who fulfilled the American dream because he worked really, really hard and he got himself out of that chicken coop and out of Council Bluffs and he provided a better life for his children. Sometimes it seems to me that everyone's really critical of the country we live in and they like to put it down and they like to critique everything. And when they do that, I think of my dad and I think that this is the country that makes someone like my dad possible. I think that this country provides great opportunities for people who work hard, and I hope that you guys will take advantage of those opportunities.